Hi, it's Dave Michaels from Talking Points. I'm on the road heading toward Orlando for InfoComm 25. I'm currently in the New Jersey satellite office, and I thought I would share some thoughts on what I considered a surprise announcement that NiCE introduced a rebrand. And so I thought I would share some of my thoughts on that because I went from total shock and surprise to, oh, I get it. So stay tuned. So last week, NiCE announced a new brand campaign, a new rebranding effort, and I was totally surprised by this. I was surprised because it was a well-kept secret. I usually hear things like this. Rebranding efforts are a lot of work. They usually involve outside professionals. They usually involve a lot of sample groups, and they involve a lot of iteration. And so this has been going on for months. I don't know. I don't know when it started, but fairly surprised that I didn't hear about this. And so that's the first point. Um, and so I went from shock, what's going on here, to wow, I kind of get it. So let's go through that. So the first thing is timing. I thought timing was really a surprise. We are just before. I guess they announced this like 2 weeks before their interactions event in Las Vegas, which is a fairly big event that they do in Las Vegas every year, or not always in Las Vegas, but they have a fairly big event they do every year. Um, and it's a customer event. There'll be a lot of analysts there, and I thought they would have announced this there, but they've announced it beforehand. Obviously, they're going to have the new brand elements all around the event, and so people will get to see it when they get there. Um, but I was expecting it to be before that. I will be at the NiCE Interactions in July in London, and of course we'll see the stuff there. And now I have a new reason to go because um, I don't have any swag with the new logo on it. So good reason to go to NiCE Interactions Vegas or London is to get some nice swag with the NiCE logo. Another reason why the timing is odd is because they just announced a CMO change. Not Wise, who's been there for quite some time, is leaving the company, and Michelle Cooper, the new CMO, has just started, and uh, so it's kind of unusual to launch a new brand effort, right when the CMO is hired. So again, surprise, surprise. Uh, Now, I don't know when this branding effort started, but the CEO changed in January, and so it could have started in January. But I find it surprising that the new CEO would come in and immediately prioritize let's start a new brand effort. So it probably started in toward the end of last year, and and uh, and so they finish it up and they're putting it out. So that's great. So let's talk a little bit about rebrands, because rebrands are not uncommon in enterprise comms. We've been through a lot of them, actually. I remember when Genesis did their big rebrand with its current logo. That must have been like 10 years ago. It was just a few years ago that Cisco changed the WebEx logo to the double helix logo that they use now with the W. Uh, uh, there's been a lot of rebrands because of M&A, and so I remember, let's see, like Unify just got rebranded as Mitel because of M&A. But I remember when Unify launched because Unify was replacing the Sen or Siemens brand, and so we went through a lot of these rebrands, and I think Avaya just did a brand refresh. So not unusual in our industry, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But I want to first talk about what is a brand and why is it so hard to do this. Brands represent a lot, right? They represent an identity. Some might say a feeling or a perception of what a brand encompasses. Um, Enterprise comms have been going through a lot of change, and so therefore it might be necessary for brands to update their image and who they are. It's basically a form of evolution. Um, so what does a brand include? Well, obviously it includes a logo and an icon. That's the easy stuff. It includes colors. I always associate Avaya with their red. You've got typography or fonts that could be associated with the brand, imagery. I think of Vonage. Vonage did a rebrand, and they did those little cartoon characters as part of their rebrand for their imagery, the little small heads and the big bodies. And I always associate those with Vonage, and so part of the imagery and style of a brand, it's overall look and feel of a brand, and so really brands have a personality. Some brands are very serious, some brands are very fun, some are relaxed, um, and so again, personalities and things change as industries evolve. So one of the first questions that comes up is what was wrong with the NiCE brand that it had, and it actually had a pretty good brand, but the brand has evolved quite a bit, and evolution is not new to this company either. Many people don't realize how much NiCE has evolved because it started off in a whole different area. NiCE stands for Neptune Intelligent Computer Engineering, and they don't really use that anymore. But talk about evolution, right? So, but they had another problem too, and this is me talking, not NiCE, but their other problem, and it's a good thing, a bad thing problem, is that the word NiCE is a word of the dictionary. It's a common word that we all use all the time. And so, how do you build a brand out of a word in the dictionary? And so you have to separate it, but also you want to leverage it because the word nice in the dictionary, the adjective, is a friendly, courteous word. And so they want to leverage that, but they need to separate from it. And they've separated from it by doing an all caps implementation, and that helps separate it because it's all caps. But the problem is all caps is yelling. Nice customer experience is what they're saying, and that's probably not what they want to convey. And if you think about nice customer experience, then it sounds like the English word. And so they had to kind of separate that somehow. They had to maintain that correction, that separation. But there's also an opportunity happening, and that is that everything in CX is basically changing largely because of AI. But AI, every vendor is leading with AI. Everyone is AI first, and everyone is prioritizing AI. So how do you differentiate around kind of a common technology that everyone is doing? But one thing that's kind of happening is that AI is really about machines and automation, and CX is often about the customer experience. So there's a bit of a gap opening up here. AI is technical or a technology. Technologies are cold and inhuman and corporate-y, and so nice isn't any of those, right? And so there's an opportunity here that I think NiCE is trying to capture, which is that human experience or connection that they want to bring back into the brand. So so again, I have to assume they've been working on this for several months. And brands are really about a feeling, and so again, they want to leverage that English word, pleasant, agreeable. But how do you leverage that and still stand out? So they came out with this new brand. Ta-da! First off, it's not all caps, so they got rid of the yelling, but it's mostly caps. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. If you went just to lowercase, it would get confused with the English word. So we talked about that. But so they lowercase the I, and I think that was the right letter to lowercase. It's the vowel. I guess the E at the end is a kind of a vowel, but it's the key vowel, and it's two pieces. So you get to do the I, the dot in a different color, and um, and this is what's called camel case. And camel case is kind of an interesting thing, but most brands are not words in the dictionary. So just a few years ago, WebEx was camel case. It had been camel case for a long time. The uh, second E in WebEx was supposed to be capitalized. It was capitalized for, I don't know, 15 years. And about 3, 4, 5 years ago, they changed it to a lowercase e. So it's just capital W and then rest lowercase. And they moved away from camel case. And so, but WebEx is never confused with an English word in the dictionary. So NiCE has to avoid that. So they picked this lowercase I. To me, it says that it's not about I, it's about you. And so um, I think that works. So, that's fine. So here's the new logo. You can see it here. It's very, very nice. and it's available in a couple of different colors, and they have a mono version, and they have it with a few different backgrounds. So this is the new NiCE logo. Um, and they also introduced a new tagline. So the new tagline is "Create a Nice World." And again, this is where you can really see how they spell, or the mixed case, the camel case of nice, is clear. It's not just a nice world as in anybody wants. It's a nice world as in their brand, and it's optimistic. It's I guess it's friendly, and it's global. Nice world. And so they have different ways of stylizing their tagline, and so that makes sense too. Um, it To make it more human, they chose softer colors and softer shapes and a smiley face. Check out the smiley face. Now I don't know what they're calling the smiley face, but it's a brand icon. At Talking Points, I use the TP in the bottom corner, and the brand icon is basically in shorthand for the brand. Uh, in lieu of the brand, you don't usually see them together. I guess like no, you don't see mine together either usually. So the smiley face is human. Obviously, it's friendly, it's agreeable. So I think that works nicely too. So they announced new colors. They've got a blue and a charcoal version of NiCE. What's most interesting here is the backgrounds. It shows gradients for the backgrounds. I don't see that very often. And it's not a fixed gradient. It's not always going to be the same gradient. They actually have a software tool to generate a nice gradient, depending what kind of background you need and what situation, what shape and version. It's mostly the same colors, the same hues. They're softer colors, softer shapes. Gradients create kind of a soft 3D background. So, all right, great. Um, Now I associate brand refreshes sometimes as a correction. Like, we made a terrible mistake. We're gonna don't think of us the way you used to. Think of us this new brand. They're not doing a correction. Their brand was strong. So why did they do a refresh? And I think what's really important here is to focus on evolution and how much is changing. Don't think of it as starting over. Think of it as evolving. The tech is changing. The competitive landscape is changing. User expectations are changing. Um, Buyer requirements are changing. The vendor landscape is changing. Everything is changing. So it's okay for a brand to evolve its branding symbols. That's how you maintain a competitive edge. And remember, the whole industry is kind of moving towards towards CX, and so CCAS is moving towards CX. A bigger problem, it needs a bigger brand, and so I think evolution is the right word here. It's a shift in company values, a brand reset. It's a shift in vision and values. And again, you've got a leadership change going on. You've got the CEO change. You've got CMO changes. So, and you've got all this technology changing. So I think it's very appropriate. And if it's done right, it can not only attract new demographics, but it can also energize existing customers. And I think we're going to see that at NiCE Interactions in Vegas. I think there's going to be a lot of celebration around the new brand. And I'm looking forward to being in the London event to see and feel that in person. And I've already seen that on social. People are already posting where they're seeing the new NiCE ads. And I think there's a lot of pride and excitement around this. So those are my thoughts on the new brand. Uh, NiCE, congratulations on your new brand. Use it with good health. And thanks for watching.